Ukraine released a terrifying new tactic with HIMARS Make Putin Tremble. Vladimir Putin is facing havoc in his invasion campaign as he contends with US-supplied HIMARS and decimated troops numbers. The U.S. announced on Monday a renewed $1 billion, £800 million, military aid package to Ukraine, which will include munitions for HIMARS, or high-mobility artillery rocket systems. The cornerstone of the White House's military aid is dozens of HIMARS which have been lauded by Ukraine's armed forces as weapons to turn the tide of a war. Foreign Policy magazine's deputy editor, James Palmer, described the US-supplied HIMARS as wreaking havoc and terrifyingly dominant in global warfare. This comes as the UK Ministry of Defence, MOD, said Moscow has launched a major new ground forces formation, which the Kremlin is using to swell the Russian army's decimated ranks. 1A. U.S. officials said earlier this week that Russia has likely suffered between 70,000 and 80,000 casualties in the Ukraine war so far. This number of wounded and injured represented a tremendous number of casualties, according to Pentagon Undersecretary for Defense for Policy, Colin Kahl. He said, "There's a lot of fog in war, but I think it's safe to suggest that the Russians have probably taken 70 or 80,000 casualties in less than 6 months. Now that is a combination of killed in action and wounded in action, and that number might be a little lower, a little higher, but I think that's kind of in the ballpark." To counteract such losses, the MOD suggested Putin has established the 3rd Army Corps, or 3AC, based just outside of the Russian capital. New recruits are being lured in with lucrative cash bonuses, it added. Putin's recruitment drive is targeting men up to 50 years old, who need only to have an education level of up to their mid-teens. But as domestic enthusiasm for combat in Ukraine remains low, the MOD said in its daily intelligence update on Wednesday, to support the Ukraine operation, Russia has almost certainly established a major new ground forces formation, 3rd Army Corps, 3AC, based out of Mulino, in Nizhny Novgorod Oblast east of Moscow. Russia likely plans to resource a large proportion of 3AC from newly formed volunteer battalions, which are being raised across the country, and which group together recruits from the same areas. Russian regional politicians have confirmed that potential 3AC recruits are being offered lucrative cash bonuses once they deploy to Ukraine. Recruitment is open to men up to 50 years old and with only middle school education. A Russian Army Corps typically consists of 15 to 20,000 troops, but it will probably be difficult for Russia to bring 3AC up to this strength, given very limited levels of popular enthusiasm for volunteering for combat in Ukraine. 3AC's effect is unlikely to be decisive to the campaign. Overnight, blasts were reported at a Saki Russian airbase near Novoftorivka in the annexed Crimea, with one person reportedly killed, according to the head of the Russia-controlled regional administration, Sergei Aksionov. But Russia insists the explosions were down to ammunition being detonated, not an attack on the facility. Ukraine said it was not claiming responsibility for the explosions. Without referencing the reports, Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky said in his Tuesday night address that the war began with Crimea and must end with Crimea, with its liberation. He added that Crimea is Ukrainian, and we will never give it up. Crimea was annexed by Russia in 2014, with Russian-installed authorities holding a referendum on incorporation into Russian territory that is widely recognized as illegitimate.